Well, hello there. So, I wanted to try something out with you guys. Um, Last video I made was it was over an hour long. And I thought, you know what? I didn't expect this to be an entire hour long. And I did go through 6 different questions. And I thought, you know what? That was all good. That was all good. But what if I focused on one single question and really tried to um give a more deep dive, in depth type of video, just focusing on this, trying to answer your one question. So today's topic is how to start writing fiction. And I'm going to try to separate it, do different levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I can't remember what YouTube channel it was, but there's some YouTube channel where some expert comes in and they explain the same concept to different levels. So first it's like elementary school kid, next is like junior high, and then high school, and then college level, and now expert to expert. And it was always really interesting to see how in the beginning it's like teaching, and then by the end that they're just having a colleague to colleague type of discussion. I'm not going to be doing that, obviously. I don't have anyone here else. It's just me. But I am going to do a deep dive type, not a deep dive. We're not diving in anywhere. Anyway, let me stop rambling. So, this is a note. These are all based on my experiences. I'm a fantasy writer. I'm a pantser. I've been writing for over 15 years, and I hope I can help even just a little. So, you may or may not recognize this slide if you were looking at the screen in my last video, but there was a question asked, how do you start writing and what helps? And I reviewed that video. The part where I talked about, where I went into this question, it was actually the first question. So I talked about how I start writing. Like if I want to start writing something, I have to be in the right motivation mood, and I do like a little bit at a time, like a sentence or a paragraph or something, and just keep checking in with myself to see how I'm feeling. Do I feel like I can go on further? And I also talked about how some people might feel intimidated to start writing, like people who are planners. I'm a pantser, so I'm not entirely familiar with the planner life, but people who are planners, some people have said in like Facebook groups and Reddit forums. And they've said that they feel intimidated to start writing. They feel like they might mess it up. And so I said that, well, first drafts suck. You can't avoid it. You know, maybe just try one sentence and another sentence and just see how you feel. So I was basically repeating what I had said before, when I talked about my own experiences. But I feel like my experiences, because I've been writing for over 15 years, my experiences are based on those 15 years. So I've already figured out what practices work for me when I start writing. And also there are 2 different types of start writing. There's a start writing where you've been writing something and then you stop for a while and you want to get back into it kind of start writing. So you are working on the story again, in a sense. Not in a sense. You're working on the story again. The other type of start writing is that you've never written a word in your life. Or no, I mean, you probably have written a word in your life. You've never tried story writing. And you want to start writing, but you don't know where to begin. Maybe you've been hearing a lot about people doing world building, if it's fantasy, or creating mood boards using pictures, or maybe you hear people using like personality tests to develop characters, and you're not sure from where you should start, especially if you are a newbie at fiction writing. You have no idea where to start. So I'm gonna try to remember what it was like for me when I first started writing, what I was doing and how I was starting writing, and then sort of move on to see if I can answer for beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So my avatar is supposed to wiggle. Okay, there we go. So for this video, the challenge is for me and for you, if you want to try this out. Can we give advice on how to start writing based on a person's individual or different levels? So let's first imagine the newbies. And if you're a newbie, hi, I was once a newbie too. We were all once newbies at something. I first started writing stories like as a serious writer. Like I was writing like stories before, but it wasn't serious. It was serious. It was just like an extension of make-believe. I like to, as a kid, take my stuffed animals and make scenarios, and I'd be pretty happy playing by myself in my room. I'm an only child, so only children, we gotta learn how to entertain ourselves, because you go to mom and they say, no, I'm busy, go to dad, and you go to dad and they say, no, I'm busy, go to mom, and you're like, well, I've just been there. So you go to your room. And I used to do a lot of pretend and make-believe stuff and come up with stories, and very, now that I think about it, a lot of dramatic storylines. Usually there was some kind of flood, everyone needs to be saved, and there's some one heroine cat that saves the day with her magical powers or something like that. And so I used to make up stories a lot. And so writing was just like kind of like writing them down. I never wrote the stories down that I made up when I was a kid, but I did, once I could write by myself coherent sentences. I would write in my English notebook and just come up with all kinds of things. And also being exposed to different stories in school and all that sort of sparked inspiration and that sort of thing. So I would try to copy the styles of some stories that I liked, just for fun. And I think that kind of helped with when I actually decided I'm going to write a story, that sort of copying, in a sense, helped me to actually create the story. So how did I start writing as a beginner? It was more like, in the beginning, I didn't really think about becoming a writer. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I don't know why, but I just didn't. I would read books, but I would never think that someone had written them. Like, these were written by somebody, some other person, human being, that maybe one day I could become. I don't know why, but it never really settled into my mind that that was a thing that people could do, like people could become writers, like that was possible. I don't know why. Just never thought about it. So before I even realized that that was a thing, I used to just write down stories for fun. I just enjoyed it. I just did all kinds of things, wrote all kinds of scenarios. They weren't ever full stories. I never wrote like a novel length anything. I would just write little scenes or come up with character names and come up with the like specifics of the character, like the background, or what they look like, what they wear, what they like to do, that sort of thing. I used to come up with a lot of characters. I never ended up using them. I don't know. I never ended up using those characters in an actual story. They're just characters just floating out in the void. I would do these, yeah, like I said, scenarios. So, like, I would imagine, there was one running series one running character that always came up, which is this character called Fox, and he is a fox living in a magical forest. So I would have these excuse me. I would have these scenes where it was like written in kind of a poetic way. So the reason it was written in a poetic way was because I liked reading poems. So I would write poetry myself, and so I would want to be poetic in my writing. So I thought it was poetic to have not actually name the character, but just call him Fox. So Fox was running through the forest, you know. What is going on with my throat? I need a drink of water. Hope you keep hydrated. I have to make sure I say hydrated, not dehydrated. Yes. So I would just come up with little scenes and scenarios with Fox running through the forest, wanting to meet with his fox love interest. Fox has a fox love interest. And just becoming friends with humans and that sort of thing. You see where the fox in my life comes from a very early stage in my writing. So that's kind of what I would do. I would just have fun with it. I wouldn't think so deeply. I just have fun with writing. And sometimes, actually, it's kind of funny how I actually started getting into writing was, well, two things. So one thing was, this is something that you might not relate to. My mother was actually writing a children's short story. And that's not why I started writing. It was always something that she was doing, so I even never considered that, oh, writing is something that people can do. I don't know why. It just didn't cross my mind. So weird. So I would see her at the computer, you know, typing away, and sometimes she would tell me about the story, and sometimes I would read it, because at the time I was a kid, and she was writing for kids, so I was her perfect audience. And she knew that I was interested in story writing and making up stories. And it was in high school, and I had just learned to type and everything properly. And she had found a community writing website called Figment. I think it was through the New York Times or something. And we both made an account at the same time, and then we started participating on Figment. So, and on Figment, they would have these flash fiction contests, and I think it was called like the Flash 5. Yeah, it was called Flash 5. Oh my gosh, I remember that. It's been years since Figment shut down. So basically, what the Flash 5 was is that they would give you 5 words, and you can change it. So if you have like the word run, you can say running or ran or whatever. And you use those words and you put those words into a story, and then you submit the story as part of the contest. So that actually helped me to get into story writing, And another thing that helped me to start writing was reading other people's writing. Other people, not authors, not published books, but other people who were newbies, or maybe they were intermediate people or advanced people, but other people's writing, just other people's writing. These days, without Figment, maybe you would like join a Facebook writing group and you can see different people's writing. You read it. It could inspire you or make you feel some way, or maybe you'd feel like, oh, competitive, I can do better than that, or whatever, which is fine to feel, as long as you start writing, right? I suppose if you're a beginner, you probably want to join those Facebook writing groups. I'm in a few. I'm in one called Writers Unite, one called Writers Helping Writers, and some genre-specific ones. They have such long names, but two for fantasy writers. There's also one called the Writing Forum or something like that. But as a newbie, I would suggest you go to Writers Unite and Writers Helping Writers. The Writers Forum is it's a little bit brutal in a good way. But if you're a newbie, you might feel a little bit intimidated. That's all. I'm not saying that don't join it. You can join it and see, maybe it's not so bad for you. But I find it sometimes that place to be. People get heated, not easily, but people get heated often in that group for some reason. I have no idea why. Not to say that that's bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, I'm in it, and I enjoy being in there. So yeah, you would probably, read other people's writing. Just have fun and experiment, because in the beginning you don't know what genre. Maybe you do want to write fantasy, but exploring other genres is really helpful to your writing growth, I think, because I did try other genres, although I did end up writing just various types of fantasy in the end. I did try some nonfiction. I tried romance. I tried sci-fi. And, well, of course, fantasy in various genres of fantasy. Horror, mystery. What else is there? All the genres. I've probably tried most of the genres. It's just fun. Just try and see what comes out, and have fun. And don't think about, oh my gosh, I have to really perfect my writing. I have to really think about all this stuff. I have to be perfect. And because I want to publish, or because someone else is going to read my stuff, it has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, because you're new, and it's fine. You just experiment and have fun, and be open to all kinds of things. I guarantee that it will be eye-opening sometimes. It will be exciting. It will be rewarding. You get to meet and talk with all kinds of people too, if you do all kinds of genres. And yeah, just enjoy. Just enjoy. Don't think about, oh my gosh, I have to be a certain way. That's what I would suggest for beginners and newbies to start writing, based on my experiences. How did I do? Do you think that was good? Do you think that was good? Do you think that was helpful? I hope so. Okay, so we are moving on to intermediate. So what is intermediate exactly? I have no idea. I thought, if you think about different levels, beginner, intermediate, advanced. I mean, those are the different levels, right? That everyone thinks of when they think of learning some skill. Intermediate is like maybe you've passed the newbie stage, maybe you've even written a 50K novel, maybe you did the nano challenge once or twice, and you have some idea of what your style is. No, you have an idea of what genre you want to write in, or if you want to write in multiple genres. You might even already have some book series in the works. Maybe you're thinking about, I wonder if my story is interesting enough. I wonder if many people, like the masses, will like my story. I wonder what my writing style is. Maybe those are the things that you were thinking about if you're an intermediate. I'm trying to remember, like, about the time where I felt like maybe I'm in the intermediate class of fiction writer. That was about what I was thinking. I was also thinking, do I want to publish self-publishing or traditional publishing? What do I want to do with my life? Yes, that's what I was thinking about. So, if that's the case for an intermediate to start writing something, it wouldn't be the beginning stages probably. It would be like maybe you finished one book and you want to start writing a new story. You want to write a new story, but you're actually not sure what your writing style is yet. Some people might have told you and you have some idea, but you don't know clearly what it is. Like an intermediate level to start writing, it would be closely related to finding your motivation, probably. That's what I would think. So if you want to start writing, and maybe you also know if you're a pantser or a plantser or a plotter. So if you're a pantser like me, I would just tell you to start with an action scene. Action scenes always get me going because it's something is happening, and it's good if the action scene is a little bit unique. So like what was the story that I wrote in my intermediate stage? I would say probably I had a scene where a sorcerer boy was being threatened that he might be expelled from school. So that's interesting and unique. For me, actually, I don't really write a lot of magical school type of stories anyway. So that, yeah, and so it's like an action that doesn't finish in like 1 second or a few minutes. It's an action that will go on and on for some time. Probably. So like he's going to be expelled. So what is he going to do about it? Why is the school expelling him? So it gives you some like questions to work with that you have to answer in the next few sentences or paragraphs. And so you do. And then before you know it, you're writing a chapter. That's how the pantsing for the intermediate works for me. If you're a plantser, you start writing. This is assuming that you've already semi-plotted something. So, actually, I would suggest start with an action anyway, action or dialogue, because you want to spark that inspiration for the next scene. You want to make sure that you're able to move on to the next scene easily. So you might start with an action and dialogue, and then in order to finish that action or finish that dialogue, that is what will keep you in the writing state. Does that sound weird or not? I don't know. That's what I would suggest for the intermediate peeps. How to start writing as an intermediate. You also might benefit from making mood boards and sort of getting yourself situated in that specific world, or get yourself familiarized with the characters. It helps for me to get a sort of, in a sense, get a visual on the characters. Then I can more easily imagine them in whatever situation that I've put them in the beginning. So that's what I would do to start writing as an intermediate person. What do you think? You think that's a good intermediate feel type of thing? Let me know. Drinking water. Okay, so lastly, the advanced. This is like someone like me who's been writing for over 15 years. What do I do when I want to start writing? So recently I started writing a new story. This is a completely new story for me in that it doesn't take place in any of my already existing worlds. For a long time I've been writing books. I've been writing books taking place with different characters, but in the same world. So I didn't have to really make too much stuff from scratch. I just write about whatever part of the world that the character lives in. So I wouldn't have to do I don't have to do a lot of world building or mood board creation because I have them already from other stories. So all I need to do is write the story of the character and figure out the character. But this story that I'm writing right now is a completely new story in a completely different world. It's fantasy, if you didn't guess that already. I'm a fantasy writer, after all. And how I start writing, this is me as a pantser, so it's going to be quite a bit different from plotters and maybe a little bit different from plantsers. Basically what I knew I wanted to write this story. So I knew that for at least the last few months, I knew that I wanted to write this story. But during those few months, I couldn't start writing the story because I was editing my debut novel, Between Roses, and I had to focus on getting that out to my editor. So even though I wanted to work on a new story, I couldn't afford the time to do that. So I had been thinking about it over and over and over in my head, and making sure I wouldn't forget it and all that stuff. So by the time I actually started writing it, just starting to write it was getting back into drafting a story, because I had been editing for quite some time now, and writing a new story from scratch hadn't happened in a while. So I had to make that happen. And I was like, I don't know if I feel it today. I don't know if I feel it today. And that was going on for some time. And I thought, today I just got to start writing, darn it. So I decided to do what the last time I wrote a story from completely from scratch in a completely new world was my attempt at steampunk fantasy. It's on Wattpad, called Jack of All Trades, and basically it's about a guy who is cursed with a gift that lets him listen to the frontmost thoughts of people, but it gives him a headache, and it also has something to do with dragons. Anyway, the story begins with him at the hospital trying to get some medication to ease his headaches. And that was a unique start. And because it was such a unique start, I had to figure out, because at that time when I first started writing the story, I didn't know that he even was cursed. As a pantser, I don't know anything sometimes about the characters. So, I didn't know he was cursed. I didn't know why he was at the hospital. We're just going to roll with it. We're just going to see where this goes. It was so unique, and I had to get him out of the hospital, of course, so I had to write the scene until there, so I had to figure out what was going on with him, what world this is, what was going on, and everything. So that helped me to start writing because it was just such a unique beginning scenario. So I decided for my current story, which also has dragons in it, I would try to come up with a scene like that. And I almost got myself stuck because I was thinking, oh no, this isn't interesting enough. What am I going to do? This isn't interesting enough. I feel stuck. But then I thought, you know what? Just come up with something. So I initially had this idea that the main character was going to was going to be woken up by a thundering, rumbling roar of a dragon. But come to find out, it's just his father. So the reader might be surprised, but then the main character is like, oh, give me 5 more minutes, Dad, kind of thing. But I decided not to do that because I thought, I don't want to write a story where the character is waking up. That's a cliche beginning that nobody wants to read. And I was starting to think like that, and I thought, no, why don't you just have fun with this story, Anna? Isn't that why you started writing it in the first place? So I tried to think of a scene that was just so unique and weird, and for some reason I thought of the character is looking down into a well. I don't know where that came from. I don't have any stories with wells. Well, actually, I do have a story with a well in it, but it's not like the main focus of the story is not the well. And then once I introduced the wishing well, which is actually a mimic wishing well, I don't know where that even came from. I started to pull from all these gaming scenarios that my partner would tell me. And then I started pulling from all these fairy tale elements. And I probably introduced most mythical creatures already, except I don't have Bigfoot. I don't have the Chupacabra either. I have harpies and yetis and giants and trolls and elves, and like anything you could ever think of just starts popping up one by one. And I thought, this world is not going to make sense with all these mythical creatures from all these different countries. And I thought, you know what? I'm not even going to think about what other people are going to think. I am just going to just write this story and enjoy myself. So that's how I started writing this story, is just to free myself from the constraints of writing within a world already created and also writing for somebody. I decided I'm just gonna, write for me. And that's what you should be doing anyway. So, as an advanced pantser person, I decided that I would just enjoy myself. And once I let that go, just let it go, you just let it go and be free. it was a lot easier to write, to start writing again. I remember those times when I would actually write like this. I would just let it go. Don't even think about what other people are going to think. You know, if you're enjoying it, chances are somebody else is also going to enjoy it because, you know, think about it. There are books that I like, published books that I like, that other people like. So if I'm writing a story that I like, certainly there's going to be somebody else that likes it, right? It makes sense. As an advanced planter and plotter, though, I can't really say anything about that because I don't know what an advanced planter and plotter would even look like in the beginning to start writing. I'd probably just suggest, like I did with the like I did before, just start with an action or a dialogue. If you just start writing the story, you want to start working on a new story, start with action or dialogue. Or some unique action scenario, like for my case, a main character is looking into a well. So I thought, okay, what is he doing? What are you doing? And what is he looking for? What did he just do? How old is he? Where am I? Where are we? Are we on Earth? Are we in another world? How is this going to move forward? What exactly is happening? And then suddenly I have him diving into the well to try to retrieve a gold coin, but he doesn't. And then he ends up leaving mud tracks throughout the castle that he lives in and getting in trouble. But instead of getting in trouble, he gets his brother in trouble, and then he doesn't get in trouble. And I'm like, okay, he has a brother. I didn't know that. I didn't the initial idea for this story, he's an only child and his father is dying, so he's going to be the next king. But before he can be king, he has to make amends with humans, that sort of thing. Yeah, he's not human, by the way. Anyway, that was a tangent. And also, advanced writers start writing. Pick a scene. Maybe if you start writing a story based in a world that you've never written in before, free yourself, let it go. If you're writing a new story based in a world that you've already established, I would say start with action or dialogue, which is probably good to do. It will pique your interest and you would want to know what is going to happen next. If you're a planter or a plotter, I would still suggest to start with action or dialogue, unless you have a solid beginning scene that you've already written out in your outline or something. Anyway, that is the end of this video. How to start writing in different levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I wonder how I did. How do you think I did? And let me know your comments down below. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe and to keep updated. I don't know how often I will be able to post on this channel, but I might be quite frequent or quite infrequent, but at least there will be a new video, hopefully a new video every week. That's what I'm hoping. So anyway, hope you will come and listen to the next video. Have a lovely day. I'm just a fox, and the fox is out.